Hello everyone, James Corbett here, CorbettReport.com. Speaking of flying and the TSA and other experiments in evil, I hope you have seen the most recent episode of the Corbett Report. If not, the link will be in the show notes so you can go and check it out. But of course I was talking about the security theater that has been set up in the United States since the infamous day. And here I am at a Japanese airport about to take a domestic flight just here in Japan. And I can attest there is nothing quite like the TSA here, although there are obviously security procedures that have obviously changed in the last decade or two for obvious reasons. Security theater is a worldwide part of the global control rollout, so it is everywhere. But I can also attest that here in Japan, domestically anyway, the flight screening procedure is considerably less stress-inducing than in the United States. I think part of what is going on with regards to these security procedures that we do is propaganda. It is an important part of the security theater. And the security rollout, the PSYOP, the conditioning to expect the rigmarole at security is part of that propaganda rollout. And I hope you'll have picked up on that in the report that I did, again, the TSA and other experiments in evil, where I cited a number of local newscasts talking about different aspects of this and people getting upset about security procedures at different times over the last decade or two. But interestingly, I think one of the final clips was about a boy who flagged basically every time he flew because of his name being on a list or something, one of those deals. But he had a cochlear implant, so it was always a big rigmarole to go through the screening procedure and what have you. And they're interviewing various people, and you have that one guy that says basically, well, you don't want to do it, but you just gotta go and follow orders.
Well, I mean, you got to follow the rules, but in the same regard, I think that I'd probably have some apprehension. I'd be a little bit upset about it.
Follow orders, indeed. And then later on, the father of this boy is talking about how, it's no big deal, it's all right. And then the boy gets to one line of dialogue to say, well, it sometimes is a bit uncomfortable. As if, well, who cares? Oh, ha, ha, ha. This little child is a little uncomfortable by the screening procedures. Shut up and take it. This is an obvious point about propaganda, but I want to stress it for anyone, because I think we all understand it, but it needs to be consciously realized that when they do those types of reports about how, no one really enjoys it, but you gotta do it, you just follow orders, and it's no big deal. When they do those types of reports, they clearly are manufacturing consent, because this is not normal to sit here and watch these screening molestation videos, essentially, or seeing it really happen in front of you and just sit there quietly. No human being reacts like that. It's funny, people sometimes ask me, James, how do you do this day after day, talking about this horrible news and all these terrible things that's going on in the world? How do you do it? And I don't know what the answer to that is. I just have some ability to analyze things critically and sort of detach myself from it. But I have to admit, this is one of those times where I just couldn't stomach it anymore after watching all of those TSA videos and all of the children screaming, I don't want to go to Disney World, don't touch me, and all of this horrible stuff. I just couldn't take it anymore. At a certain point, I just had to say, Brock, here's a bunch of videos. You just choose the ones, that you think will fit in best, and I'll just approve them when they're ready. Because I just couldn't watch it anymore. It's horrible. It boils my blood to watch this, especially children going through these indoctrination training procedures. And that's what everyone, I think, normal people see and feel when they're participating in these events. Which is why, of course, they have to notch up the propaganda to 12 anytime they try to roll this out. And so they'll always have the report from the airport, and there might be one or two people going, it's a bit uncomfortable, but in the end, you got to follow orders. And that's the message they want you to take away from it. And unfortunately, it's exceptionally effective at making you feel that you are strange for not enjoying this or not putting up with it anyway. When it's the exact opposite. The vast majority of people are on your side in this. And you have to keep that consciously in mind. Just a little anecdote. I remember talking to someone who was covering it was just as they were rolling out the new Rapiscan, naked body scanners. And so they were having one of those reporter, at the airport asking everyone as they went by, what do you think about this? And this person who I was talking to told me, they interviewed person after person after person. Must have been dozens and dozens of people. Every single one, this is stupid, I hate it, I'm not going to do this, I can't put up with this is terrible. One person goes, it's for our own good, and I respect them, and I trust that they're doing the right thing, and they're trained professionals. Guess which one of those interviews they aired that night? Again, we all know that they do this, but it's another thing to see it and consciously realize whenever you are watching these reports, even if it's just background noise that you have flipped on in the background or whatever it is invading your consciousness, and they are manufacturing consent. Maybe I'm the weird one for thinking that this is unusual. You are not. And if you, in fact, you're the weird one if you can watch those videos of little children, whatever else being grabbed in the security procedures and not feel yourself literally shaking with rage, then you probably are the weird one. So keep that in mind. They are manufacturing consent with this type of propaganda. It's an exceptionally important thing to keep in mind. But we'll keep going on and exposing the propaganda for what it is, however stomach-churning it may be. James Corbett, CorbettReport.com.